friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Automation Testing Online. In my previous video, we discussed about Agile methodology, some of its advantages and disadvantages, and the team members in Agile team. In today's video, we are going to discuss about Agile terminologies. The first terminology is user stories. So, what are user stories? User stories are a feature or module in a software. It is simply an functionality of an application. For example, in Amazon application, we have login functionality, payment functionality, and registration functionalities. So these functionalities are user stories. The product owner defines the features of a software in the form of user stories. Next terminology is epic. Epic is the collection of user stories. These user stories are actually derived from epic. So epic is the larger requirement and user stories are smaller requirements. Both the user stories and epic are prepared by product owner. Next terminology is sprint. As we discussed in our previous video, the process and agile methodology are split into iterations, which are otherwise called as sprint. So this sprint is a time period that is required to complete an user story. It is discussed by the team members and the product owner. The duration for the sprint is 2 to 4 weeks. Next terminology is product backlog. Product backlog is the collection of user stories. As we all know that product owner is the one who collects the requirements from the client and understands them and defines them in the form of user stories. So product backlog or collection of user stories that are prepared and maintained by product owner, and it is prioritized by product owner. So product owner will prioritize all these functionalities according to the market value. Next is sprint backlog. Sprint backlog are the set of user stories that are chosen from the product backlog. And that user story has to be completed within a sprint. It means that the entire team and the product owner will discuss what are all the user stories that can be completed in a sprint. So that chosen user story will be listed in sprint backlog. These discussions they will be discussing in sprint planning meeting. Next is story point. Story point is the rough estimation of user stories. It will be given by the QA team and development team in Fibonacci series. What are Fibonacci series? Fibonacci series are 0, 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8. Likewise, the development team and the QA team will choose from this story point. I'll explain it clearly. So, we will choose a user story from product backlog and we will list it in sprint backlog. So how do they choose, on what basis they choose an user story? This is how it happens. For example, there is a login functionality. So they will be discussing these things in sprint planning meeting, and the development team says that they require at least one story point to complete the login functionality, and QA team says that they require at least 2 story point. So here 1 story point is equal to 1 hour or 1 day. 1 day means it is not 24 hours, it is maybe 6 working hours. It depends upon the company. In some companies they consider 1 hour, and in some companies they consider 1 day. So if QA team says they require two story points and development team says they require one story point, it means that they require 6 hours to complete this login functionality in a sprint. So this is how they choose and use a story and they complete the user story in a particular sprint. Next is burn up and burn down chart. Burn up and burn down charts are the chart representation that are used to trace the progress of a project. This chart is prepared by Scrum Master. Scrum Master checks the status of the project within the team members every day, and Scrum Master prepares this chart. So burn up chart illustrates the amount of work that has been completed in a project, and burn down chart illustrates the amount of work remain to be completed in a project. Now we'll discuss about Agile ceremonies, which is otherwise called as Agile meetings. The first meeting is sprint planning meeting. As I said earlier, choosing a user story from the product backlog, listing them on the sprint backlog, all those things are discussed in sprint planning meeting. We'll understand more by looking into the diagram. Here, product owner collects the requirements from the client, and then product owner defines the requirements in the form of user stories, lists them in the product backlog based on their priorities. Then comes the sprint planning meeting. In this meeting, the entire team will discuss to choose any of the user story from the product backlog. They will discuss what are all the risks involved, the time taken to complete the user story. All those things will be discussed in the sprint planning meeting. The complexity of the user story is estimated on the basis of story points. So the duration for the for this meeting is 1 to 3 hours, and it is attended by Scrum Master, Scrum team, and the product owner. Next meeting is daily stand-up meeting. Daily stand-up meeting is designed to quickly inform everyone what's going on across the team. The following are discussed in the daily stand-up meeting. What did I complete yesterday? What will I work on today? Am I blocked by anything? So these are all the things which will be discussed in the daily stand-up meeting. Now looking into the diagram, once the user stories are listed in sprint backlog, the team will start to work and the daily stand-up meeting will be conducted. The duration for daily stand-up meeting is 15 minutes. And the team involved in daily stand-up meeting are Scrum Master, Scrum team, and product owner. Next meeting is sprint review meeting. After each sprint, the team has to show the product as a demo to the product owner, and product owner will give the feedback on the product. It may be a negative or a positive feedback. So these things will be discussed in sprint review meeting. As we can see here, once the product is completed, the sprint review meeting will be conducted. So the duration for the sprint review meeting is 1 hour. And the team members involved in sprint review meeting are Scrum Master, Scrum Team, and Product Owner. The next meeting is sprint retrospective meeting. Sprint retrospective meeting helps the team to understand what went well and what didn't. It may seem that sprint review meeting and sprint retrospective meeting are similar, but there is a main difference. The difference is that in sprint review meeting, they will give feedback on the product, and in sprint retrospective meeting, they will give feedback on the team. The following will be discussed in sprint retrospective meeting. What went right, what went wrong, and what can be done better for the next sprint. So these are all the things which will be discussed in sprint retrospective meeting. The time duration for this meeting is 1 hour. And the team members involved in sprint retrospective meeting are Scrum Master, Scrum Team, and Product Owner. So sprint retrospective meeting is conducted at the after the sprint, at the end of the sprint. So sprint planning meeting is conducted before the sprint. Daily stand-up meeting is conducted during the sprint. Sprint review meeting and sprint retrospective meeting are conducted after the sprint. This is all about Agile methodology. So far we have discussed about what is Agile, Agile terminologies, team members in Agile, and Agile ceremonies, and its disadvantages and advantages. In my next video, we will discuss about a new topic. Thank you.